We are here to honor the victims and the survivors of one of the worst cases in history of crimes against humanity. During the Second World War, the Nazi regime and its collaborators persecuted and killed millions of people. Many of these individuals died as a result of incarceration and maltreatment, and others were murdered. We are here to recognize and remember the people who died.
On April 26th, 70 years ago, this past Saturday, German soldiers came to our apartment at dawn and arrested my mother. I expected her to return soon and did not understand why there were tears in her eyes when she left, but in fact, I never saw her again. Years later, we found out that she had died in Auschwitz, one of over 300,000 Hungarian Jews who were murdered there. I ended up in an International Red Cross orphanage with false papers showing that I was a Christian war orphan. I lived there concealing my true identity for almost a year through the siege of Budapest. Lasting from December 1944 to February 1945, it was one of the worst sieges of the war. It was a time of freezing cold, hunger, lack of medical care, sanitation, and clean water, and constant danger from bombs, shells, and bullets. Some 40,000 civilians died in the siege. After the Soviet army drove out the Germans, life very slowly approached normal. Those of my family who had survived returned from death camps, slave labor, the ghetto, and resistance fighting units. Many, like my mother, and 1/3 of the pre-war Jewish population of Hungary did not return at all. I was one of only 7% of Jewish children who survived the Nazis. My father, liberated by the US Army from Mauthausen death camp, took me to Vienna, where he had a job playing music in an army restaurant. 3 years later, we were admitted to the United States.
The Shoah, the great destruction, the Hebrew word for Holocaust, is not just in the soul of the Jewish people, but it's in the collective soul of all of humanity. And that's why I think it's so important that we're here in our legislature, in the House that holds the people of British Columbia, because it really is not just a Jewish issue, it's a human issue.